Yeah, a very big welcome to you, my dear Virgo, and always a big welcome to those zodiac signs that felt like this specific constellation, which exists only once a year, has an inspiration for them as well. I do the reading always on the day the moon is in your sign. That means when I look at the moon, I see constellation Virgo behind it. Virgo, the 6th house of health, and connected with Mercury, the messenger. When I look at the sun, which is highlighting the moon, which is waning, I see Sagittarius, the 9th house of philosophy, and Jupiter, the wise one, ruling this magnificent angel. Now, the light of the angel is hitting you, and you are turned into the left spinning cycle. The left spinning cycle is the soul cycle, is the path from deep within to the outside. And I connect it with the spin of the earth around its own axis, which lasts 25,800 years. We divide that then through 12 zodiac signs, and we get an age of 2,150 years. Currently, we moving from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius. And so here we can see that you are turned into the soul cycle, and that you know that others will come and you're holding the light for them to go up in the mountain again. And Sagittarius helping you to take that path, right? The sun, the extroverted, the ego, is giving the light to the Virgo, which is the moon, the mother, the introverted, and it's waning. So there's this story for today's reading right here in these two connections, in this combination. The yoga position I gave Sagittarius is Paschimottanasana, a deep dive into your own self to recognize the guardian angel within you. And for you, my dear Virgo, I gave you, of course, Tadasana, mountain pose with the hands in Namaste, prayer pose, the understanding that my future self and my past self are connecting here in this cosmic egg up on the mountain, recognizing the messenger within them as the present moment, right here in the center where they're looking at each other. So this is going to be the influence to today's reading. Today it's a right spinning reading, which is the earth spinning around the sun 365 days. You getting today only 13 major arcanas. On your full moon, which is opposite your sign, Pisces, you become the big reading, which is then the 22 major arcanas. And so your court card is the Knight of Pentacles, here looking into the right spinning cycle. And you have this opposite energy here between the major arcana and between your court card. So you sometimes don't know which way you want to go, right? Should I go more with the message of the soul, or should I go what I as a human see is offered out in the world and I want to go that path? And so you sometimes feel a little split here. If your birthday is between August 13 and September 11th, this is your court card. If not, please look in the description below. I have listed all the other cards there, including the cards that I'm using on each major arcana. Your last reading, where you had the sun in Scorpio, the message was to sacrifice means to make sacred what is most precious in your heart. So you had the Magician, you had here the Sacrifice, and you had the King of Cups. So there was something deeply speaking to you, because the King of Cups is Scorpio, through the depths, right? The Scorpio energy is the deepest ocean. It's the deepest feelings, and you are having a little hard time with feelings because you're Virgo. You are connected to fire and earth, and you are facing this way, but your soul is letting you know there is another energy as well. So let's begin. On the position of the Fool, which we can see is left spinning, comes Sagittarius. So the soul, or this initial thought, or this inspiration that comes from deep within, comes from your soul, is letting you know to go into a centeredness, to go into temperance. Now, when you look at the difference of these cards, this is the Visconti Sforza Tarot, and of course this is a Rider-Waite. You can see that here is a stream between the two cups, and here is nothing. And she holds up in her right hand the cup that is usually giving, and in her left she is holding the one that is receiving, if there would be a stream. Now here it's the opposite. He's holding in his right hand the one that is receiving, and in his left the one that is giving. Interesting, right? And that's why I'm doing on each position. Of course, I'm using Rider-Waite as that initial connection because they are the most famous tarot cards in the world. But I put on each position, I put a different card, so I can get a little bit of a mix of many timelines, and of course also artists and occultists and spiritual beings. So we also see here like it's a puzzle, a piece of the puzzle. Here we see how he is putting one foot in the water and one foot is on land. So the message already here is have a look into what's happening here. Have a look what you have to come into your center, into your mix of fire and water, because that's what temperance means. She is, or he is, this guardian angel is mixing the male and the female in us. And so here you are asked to come into a centeredness. And of course, since there is no stream of consciousness, it's something that we have to feel. It's not something we see. On the position of the magician comes now the sorcerer. Now this is a little bit of a dark energy, but the magician could also be a dark energy. And we see that the sorcerer is looking at temperance. It's almost like the number 48 is a 12, and then the 12 becomes a 3. So this is a 14. 14 becomes a 5. And it's very interesting. She's looking almost down to him, and he is looking at this cup, the receiving cup, the cup that is actually getting usually the stream of consciousness, right, is receiving. So it's almost like he is putting his full attention, his full power with the colors of the rainbow into this receiving cup. And this is like they call this a little bit of a dark energy, right? And of course, a sorcerer is someone that is, you know, taking and not giving. The essence here is the source of dark power. The sorcerer represents the destructive aspect of the human psyche and the self-centered behavior that harms others. It symbolizes the unconscious beliefs and ideas that foster separation, conflict, and scarcity. When the sorcerer enters your circle, you're being called to look at how your beliefs around scarcity and self-centered fear manifests in your world. Wow, so yeah, that's why the stream of consciousness is not flowing, right? That's why there is no stream. It's fairly clear. It's really interesting, right? Sometimes these cards, the way I can see what they speak to each other is sometimes quite a little intense, sometimes also a little scary, right? Because I can really see there is something speaking here to me as well, right? And so, of course, the magician inside of you, the state of consciousness, is like, what I'm going to do now, what I'm going to do with this thought of being in my center, being in a temperance state of consciousness, is bringing now here the next step of your mind, that is how I'm going to act upon it, what I'm going to do with it. And so here you are focusing a little bit of a negative energy into, I want to receive, I want to become, I want to have. You see that? He's not focusing on that one. And she's looking down at him and she's literally saying, well, I'm not sure if I can give you this, what's in here. So have a look, have a deeper look. And then on the position of the High Priestess comes the Fool. Here comes the Hermetic Tarot, only black and white cards. The Fool that is saying you must begin new, because you see how she sits between black and white, and the black pillar is facing or in the side of where the sorcerer is. So you have to come into your center. You have to come into your center of the black and the white, and you have to begin in the zero. This is what this card is letting you know. Your intuition, right? The High Priestess is the state of consciousness of intuition. My intuition is telling me, ooh, what I'm doing here is maybe not as good, right? Because you have a little bit of a dark side within you. You have this sorcerer energy within you, and what you give to others. And of course, you may have a Sagittarius here that you are sending this energy to. So now you may have to look deeper within and be like, okay, this is not good, because this is the path of the soul, and the path of the soul is powerful, but you don't want to use this kind of energy ever. And so the Fool comes, and the Fool is saying, have a new look at all of it, right? Recognize what it is that you're doing here. Begin using your intuitional side and begin something completely new. Begin a new state of consciousness, which is coming up then as the Hierophant on the position of the Empress. So the Empress as the state of consciousness that is giving birth to a new state of consciousness. And she is giving birth to here the Pope. And these are French cards from Oswald Wirth. He only painted 22 major arcanas. He didn't paint the other cards. And here we have this powerful triangle that is giving us the power to choose an upward energy, a searching for a spiritual connection, which is what you do. You searching for the spiritual connection deep within you. Now here, this is Taurus. Taurus is the most grounded, the most rooted, the most of the fixed earth sign. And of course, the 3 steps in the crown, the 3 steps here, the 3 people, everything points to the 3, which is then the 3 here when we calculate the 48 into, then together it becomes a 3. So within you, you find the power to overcome here this sorcerer. You have to make sure that he is not taking over you, because we all have a sorcerer within us. And of course, here comes the Taurus energy that is helping you to overcome this kind of energy. Then comes you. So you walk away from all of that. You have all those 4 cards in your head as a state of consciousness. And now you are on your dark horse looking at the path of the right spinning, the human path, and you are sitting here and waiting for things to grow. And you're very much in the 5, right? And this becomes a 5-5 portal because the 14, the 1, which is the magician, the 4, which is the emperor, becomes a 5-5 portal. And 2 times 5 is having the creativity to express yourself in many different ways, spiritually, emotionally, because the 2nd chakra is, or the creativity is also connected with the water, and the water is missing here. The water is not here. So this portal is giving you the sorcerer, and of course here the fool, a new beginning something. I'm going to just put you down for a moment. Beginning something that is not good here, right? As you can see, he's dark and he is looking at him from behind, and he's literally saying, don't even try, don't do that. Your intuition is telling you, don't do this. You know you have the power to do this, but don't even go there. It's not good for you as well. And so you turning yourself away from that. Okay? And then that turning away, you're like, okay, I'm going to go this path. Then comes you. On your position comes now the moon. The desire to have powerful feelings fulfilled. And it's almost like here now he is giving him the light. You see that? It's really interesting now because I'm positioning you here, and here comes the moon, and here comes you with the moon from Salvador Dali. You can see how he is holding the light up here in his lantern. And it's really interesting because when I looked at the card, and I'm reading sometimes the explanation of it because it's fascinating, right? Salvador Dali is a very interesting person. I have here this huge book of Dali Tarot. And the card, I'm just going to read to you because it's really, really powerful. The moon represents the collective unconscious and oceanic feelings. The card itself is called Deliverance. The full moon will lure hidden instincts into the open with the potential to shake us up emotionally. Do not lose courage. Perhaps we are gripped by emotional tension that we can't quite fathom. There is a danger of getting too absorbed in our vacillating moods. Instead of putting ourselves in the picture, we hide in the big city jungle, howl at the moon like dogs or wolves seen at the bottom left of the card, or become petrified like the big towers. This is an opportunity of empathy to deepen. We feel at one with all living beings as we are equally at home in the past, the present, and the future. This card conveys the promise of integrating that which has been formerly suppressed and transmuting the spiritual distress into the uplifting, artful realms of the soul. The tedium of the everyday will be transformed into real fulfillment. You get it, right? Yeah, it's very powerful. So I can see here that you are looking now at this powerful card, and you can see how something is pouring out. Here are the 2 towers of the moon, and here's the moon itself hiding a little bit behind this tower. And I feel that your lantern, your own light, the star, or the sun, which is a dwarf star, which is in Sagittarius, something is pouring out. Something is pouring out of this cup. Something is pouring out, coming out, but you had Sagittarius coming here, and you see how this is not pouring out. And you are looking at the moon, and you are literally asking yourself, so what am I going to do now? And the moon, which is the 18, which is opposite of you, which is Pisces, and the moon was in the sun for 2150 years. You were in the shadow side of Pisces. You are asked now to recognize that and to know that it's okay to be deep in the dark for 2150 years, right? In the shadow side of Pisces, which was in the age now that we had. But we're going into the age of Aquarius, which is the star in your lantern, which you're looking at, and you know you're holding the light. So it's okay, but something is pouring out here. It's so fascinating. I mean, I'm just literally like, wow. So yes, you are recognizing now that the age of Pisces has something for you. And what's also really fascinating, this is the skylight from Manhattan, and it's looked at from the park. I lived 17 years in Manhattan, and now this card is coming up. So I can recognize, because I am a Virgo, and this is really speaking to me, but I'm not the Knight of Pentacles. I'm the Queen of Swords. Yeah, so this is quite a deep message for me, but I don't recognize myself in this card, right? So very interesting to see what's happening here right now. So something is pouring now out, which wasn't able to pour out here in Temperance. And the 9-9 portal here, you the 9 and 18, which is then a 9, the 1, which is the Magician, which is almost the sorcerer saying, okay, I make things flow again in the opposite direction, right? He's facing practically the cup that is not being filled. And so the sorcerer is literally saying, I make it full. Right? He's looking at this cup. I make that this cup is pouring, and now it's pouring. You see that? Wow. It's really like, okay, I'm gonna leave the rest up to your imagination to fill in, okay? So then comes the Wheel of Fortune, and on the position of the Wheel of Fortune comes friendship, or here the journey, the 19, which is a 10. So this is a 10, and the Wheel of Fortune is the quiz of life, right? We ask ourselves the question, why? Why is all the things that are happening to us the way they are happening? And here comes this innocent energy of this child playing with the deer, and she is facing the path of the soul, like the sorcerer. So something here again is, what are you doing with this animal? Are you controlling it, right? And you're sitting here on a horse and you're facing this way. And so now something is coming at you if I put you here. And yes, there is an innocent, there's a childishness, but there's also something that you attach yourself to this deer or to this animal, and you got to liberate yourself. And so something deep down, like, is coming out, a desire to live something much bigger than you could ever imagine. Then, on the position of the Hanged Man comes the Numite stone, and the Numite stone is the sorcerer stone. I mean, yeah. So this change, this shift in consciousness, you turning yourself upside down, you being in an inversion, hanging upside down on this tree, is bringing to you the Numite, the sorcerer stone. And you have the sorcerer on the magician. And it's saying to master your own life, inner strength, and to feel yourself again. But here the Numite stone is also protecting you from evil, from sorcerer, from energies that have bewitched you. I mean, yeah. So you have to look deeper into your childhood, into your innocence, and recognize deep down that the moon is coming up on your position when the moon is in your sign. So the moon is calling you and saying, have a deeper look. Have a deeper look at everything that you're doing, how you're doing it, and how you see that here in Sagittarius something is not right. And you see that something is not right. And it's calling you to begin to feel your intuition, to recognize something. And of course then recognizing the Taurus energy, the institutions, the banks, all these financial structures that are holding us prisoners sometimes. And the sorcerer is masculine, and the Pope is masculine. Then on the position of Sagittarius, right, comes the Three of Pentacles. These are native Indian cards. And here the exchange, the flow is here. And you getting a 3. And the 3 is Mars in Capricorn. So there is now a new building, a new way of creating something with other people. And the number 3, which is happening here in the Pope, the 3 steps, which is connected then to the Empress, right? The Empress that gives birth. So she is literally saying, okay, let's build something new. Let's not think about what is not flowing here in this Sagittarius. And here you are building something that will last, something special, something bigger than you could do alone. That's why it's the number 3. And of course Mars in Capricorn. The Capricorn is also an earth sign, speaking to you through Mars, which is then the empowerment to actually go for it, go and do something. And so here you have a circle and you have a circle. And so this sorcerer stone is helping you to actually build something, because you need to be protected. Otherwise, negative energies can come in to build something big and something that can last. Then on the position of the Tower comes the Otter. And it's really interesting because now the Tower is that 7, the number 7, the 16th card, which is the crown. That God is literally like, okay, I'm going to take the crown off. You're going to fall off. This is Mars. And something is then speaking to you through Mars in Capricorn. Recognize this new energy and recognize that you can turn this way and now have almost like, yes, I am on the right path. I want to do something, right? I have looked deep within myself and recognized that I want to do something more positive, more empowering. And so you are looking in this way. And the Otter is sheer joy. He is the funniest, the most sweetest of animals. And the Otter is literally saying unobstructed joy, playfulness, and contentment, and full of love, and needs nothing. And so this is the water that is speaking to you now, that is exchanging, through exchanging with others, through working with others, the water is flowing. This is what you're feeling, and this is where you're going towards. You want to exchange yourself with other people. You want to build something, and something is speaking very, very profound to you, because again, you remember, this is Mars. Mars is falling apart. Old structures are falling apart. And Mars in Capricorn, you already started to do that. You already started to work on yourself, because you are now protected through the Numite, through the Sorcerer Stone. You're not anymore in this spell, right? And then on the position of the Moon, the desire, the longing to come out of the deep subconscious ocean, right? To evolve, to howl at the moon. On your position, the moon was here, comes the Sky Dancer. And the Sky Dancer is to surrender and to dance and to enjoy and to love what it is that you're coming out of, what it is that you have recognized here, that it is pouring again, that you made this cup pour again, but not with the sorcerer, but with working with others and focusing on something that is bringing you joy and happiness and dancing and loving yourself again. And then you can see that the 48-48 portal, which is then again a 12-12 or 3-3, is, this is not what you want to focus on anymore. You do not want to focus on what is not streaming here. You want to focus on what's working, what's flowing, and where you can dance and where you can be enjoying yourself. Because then on the position of the Sun, which is then of course Sagittarius in, right, is here the lake. Then you can dive deep and deeper again into your own subconscious, into the shadow work, which is of course the sign that is opposite of you, which is Pisces. Pisces is deep down here in the lake. And so here you can reach an understanding. If you go deep down, it's also to dive deep down and to come into your silence, come into your centeredness, come into your depths. Meanwhile, you're dancing and you're enjoying yourself on the position of the moon, which is really here, that it has come up to you in the moon, right, which is your opposite sign. And of course, on the position of Sagittarius came the Three of Pentacles. And the Three of Pentacles is then you can go deeper into the project, so that you can build something of depth and of substantial foundational existence, because you have gone deep down and have recognized your power. And then on the Judgment comes this card. And then you can carry this child on your back, and then you can continue your path and go. And the wake-up call is literally saying to you, nurture. Because when you nurture, right, for self-care, try loving and nurturing yourself as you would a child or a pet. The number 46 becomes a 10. And interesting enough, here comes a 10 as well. So then you do not play with this pet anymore. Then you take care of the pet or this child, and you don't play these games anymore. You going and you want to help others. You want to give others what they feel they need. And then there is a playfulness, and it's not anymore. It is a playfulness here, right? But still have a look into it, right? Are you attached to this, or are you actually playing with it on the Wheel of Fortune, right? And so here comes again a 10, and the message of nurture. Nurture yourself, nurture others, and help them when you dive deep within because of the sun, on the position of the sun. This happiness that is highlighting your life, you can then still dive deep within because Sagittarius is doing that to you. Sagittarius is giving you the light to go deep within through the sun into your subconscious. And then comes on the position of the world, the 5. The 5 of Cups, which is Mars in Scorpio. And so you have a 5 and another 5 and another 5, and you have a 5-5-5 portal. Then this sadness, the Mars in Scorpio, connecting back to your last reading, to sacrifice means to make sacred what is most precious in your heart. What is most precious in your heart is nurturing yourself, nurturing others, nurturing the animals, being there for others. Then you recognize that these 3 5s are work. Even the Pope is work. Even Taurus is work. Sagittarius is work. And then here Mars in Scorpio is work. And you're working on the fact that you want to overcome certain deep-rooted sadness feelings that are here in the number 31, which is then a 4. A 4, which is the Emperor, which is then taking responsibility for where you're going when you dive deep down through the sun, which is in Sagittarius, which came up as the beginning, as the original thought. I have to be Temperance. I have to be 14. I have to be the number 1 and 4. And recognize now your path, recognize what you're waking up to. And then where we can close the reading to the 0, the world. It's almost like you, when you nurture yourself, when you give yourself that what you need, then you see the water, then you see that this water is frozen, but the water can come in here and then it can stream again. Then, because 2 still standing in the 5 of Cups. And I'm going to show you the original card of the 5 of Cups. Is he's looking at these 3, and here are 2 who are still standing. So if he just turns around, and you did turn around, and now the 2 cups are here in her hand, and now you need to give it the emotional understanding that these are the emotions between male and female. These are the biggest emotions people can experience. And the world feels that. If you give it meaning again, then they will stream again. Like here. You will give it meaning and give it again. I have learned that I have lost things through the 3. Right? But I have worked on the 3 of stones to actually refill. And here on these 3 I have danced and enjoyed myself again, and I have let go of these 3 so that I can make them flow again. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Okay, there's a deep message in there, and I hope I see you in the next reading, because then the Earth is spinning in such a way that we see behind the sun the constellation Capricorn, and here is Mars in Capricorn. So you're building something, you're working with the Capricorn on building something much bigger and refilling your cup, right? Refilling the 3 cups that fell with a project that you really feel satisfied with here. Until then, I thank you so much for being with me. Namaste.